Today I'm going to talk about the strategy of other people. Now, all the strategies of habit formation could probably be their own books, but of every strategy, the strategy of other people is the one that should definitely be its own book. This is a giant, giant topic because we have enormous influence on each other. I'm getting habits from other people, and other people are getting habits from me. It's all changing all the time. We're exchanging habits all the time. In particular, in couples, if you have a couple, there's something called health concordance, which is that their health habits tend to converge on things like exercise, diet, how much they go to the doctor, how much they smoke, drink, use drugs, all these things. They tend to converge. If one person is a type 2 diabetic, the other person is much more likely to become a type 2 diabetic. If one quits drinking or smoking, the other one's more likely to quit drinking or smoking. So the people who are closest to you in your life have enormous influence on your own habits. And I've been struck, I have to say, once I started paying attention to how often people pick up habits from each other in the most casual way. Like people will just say like one little tiny thing and somebody else will go off and have an enormous habit change. And so it's very helpful to be attuned to this because on the one hand, it might help your habits. On the other hand, it might have a negative effect on your habits. So, I mean, somebody said to me like, oh, I don't eat salted almonds because salt makes you hungry. And I don't even know if that's true. But for some reason he said this and like I stopped eating salted almonds and now I only eat raw almonds. And so just sometimes these little comments, these little, just observing something somebody else's action can have an enormous consequence on you. And the lesson from that is to be very careful who you associate with, because if you hang out with people who have generally good habits, you're much more likely to have good habits in yourself than if you're hanging out with people who have really, really bad habits or habits that you do not want to emulate. And when you're thinking about the way that people interact with each other, there's sort of three gears that people can be in terms of how they're influencing your habits. One is drive. Now, people who are in drive mode are really trying to help you move forward. They're giving you advice, they're giving you encouragement, and this can be great. Sometimes it's super helpful to have that person playing a supporting role. However, sometimes people push too hard and they cause a feeling of wanting to push back. And so sometimes that encouragement can actually become negative. So you have to be careful when someone's pushing you, or if you're trying to help somebody else have a habit, make sure you don't press too hard. I have that problem myself. I'm a little bit of a habits bully. So I have to make sure that I don't push people too hard and in that way, like cause them to push back in exactly the wrong way. Now, and then there are people who are in reverse. And these are the people who really want to encourage you to break your good habits. These are the food pushers. These are the people who are like, yeah, come on, you deserve it. You need it. You've earned it. I baked it myself. You're going to hurt my feelings. How, you can't be the only one who doesn't do this. Like, you're too hard on yourself. You're too rigid. These are people who are really trying to pull you back out of a habit that you're trying to form. Now, the fact is, a lot of times it might be very well-meaning. They really want to help you celebrate. They want you to give yourself a break, and it's very well-meaning and loving. On the other hand, sometimes people are jealous if they see you making a positive change. They might feel like it's judgmental on them because you're doing something different from the way they're doing it, and that makes them feel uncomfortable. Sometimes people don't like to be inconvenienced if your good habit means that there's got to have to be some kind of change in their pattern or their schedule, so they want you to quit. So you have to be very careful in understanding, like, well, why are these people going into reverse, and how am I going to handle that? And then there are the people who are neutral. These are the people who are fine. If you want to do it that way, they're fine with that. If you want to do it this other way, they're fine with that too. And this can be good. And it can also sometimes be not so good, because sometimes it's helpful to have a little push, to have somebody kind of encouraging and helping us along, giving us a little bit of that drive. And if someone sort of says, well, I support you no matter what you do, it might make it too easy not to stick to that good habit. So when you're thinking about, there's so many things to think about how other people influence us in our habits. But one thing to think about is, with these key people in your life, what kind of role are they playing as you're trying to stick to a good habit? And by understanding it more clearly, can you think about what you could do that would help you stick to the habits that you've decided that you really want to foster for yourself?